Hello there, and welcome to my channel. This is Mark Brown's channel, and I am calling this the Design Hackers Guild, and I will rename the channel or maybe even recreate the channel. If you're dropping in now, um, I'm watching live. If there is anyone watching live, I don't believe there is at the moment. That's okay. I'm just going to assume there are people watching live, or people are going to be watching the playback. So I'm trying to talk to you now. My apologies, first of all, for the terrible camera. It's off my laptop, which is a Lenovo IdeaPad, and at the moment, that's the best camera I have, just to be able to do these presentations. So, if you're not familiar with my channel, if you've landed here by chance, God help you, but it is Friday evening. It is actually 5 o'clock in the evening on Irish time on the 15th of January, 2021. And I wanted to do this video around trying to emphasize something to business owners that they seem to be basically turning their eyes away from. If you are a small business owner and you're watching this video, you have my immense sympathy, especially for those business owners that struggle to stay open. I know of several business owners in my own local community who have struggled to stay open, struggled to meet the conditions of what the government asked them to do, spent an awful lot of money in terms of a couple of restaurants that I know that did outdoor dining, set up areas, spent a lot of money setting that up, only to be told by the government to close a further 2 times after the first lockdown. And when you're up against these things that are beyond your control to a certain extent, we can talk. Politics is for another channel. It's not for this one. This is strictly about business. There's little a business can do in terms of that. You know, years from now, we can shake out whether this was the right thing to do or not. I don't believe it is, but let history be give the testimony of the truth. So, why am I here? Well, what I wanted to do was to talk about getting down to the brass tacks of being more strategic on your business, especially if you're in a situation where you're locked down. What can you do? Well, not only has your life changed, but so has your customers. And if you were able to tell what your customer needed or required before, after building your business for, if you're trying to build you were building your business over the years, and you know what your customer was like, those days are over, because come what may, whether the lockdowns continue forever or they eventually end, they will. For those of us that can go back into business for ourselves, we are going to be dealing with customers that are going to have a completely different set of requirements, of needs. They'll have different desires, and so forth and so on. And so now is the time to be zeroing in on what that's going to look like when lockdowns end. And that's why I'm doing this video. So I hope this is of use to people. First of all, this is an experiment with me broadcasting live on YouTube. It's the first live stream I've done ever by myself. I think I did one years ago when Google Plus still existed and you could do live streams from there. I think I did one. So technically speaking, that was some years ago, and I was a lot younger, with a lot less lines, and probably a bit more hair. Not that I'm short of any anyway. Neither here nor there. Look, for those of you who don't know me, I am Mark Brown. I run the Design Hackers Guild. I am the owner of that. I actually own a small business. I'm located in Cork in Ireland. And I have over 17 years experience in corporate IT. Overall, I've done what have I done? I've done customer support, I've done technical writing, I've done marketing, I've done sales support, and sales, direct sales. So, with all that said, behind me here is my master's in design research. It's actually a master's in business data. And what that actually qualified me to be was based on a project where I had a $56,000 budget, annual budget, in a marketing campaign focused on influencer marketing, and I turned that budget from 56K per annum. In its first year, we made 24 million in ROI. And in our second year, we were targeting making 240 million. Unfortunately, the company I was working for was acquired, and so that program came to a halt, and we never really officially ended it as such. There were layoffs and so forth, and I took a package eventually. But what, who I am personally in the IT world, or what I qualified to be, was the bridge between the data scientist or scientists in general and the business. So I was kind of a conduit between the two, so that each of them can talk to each other, and I could make sure that the data scientists provided uh, tools and data algorithms, etc., that facilitated the requirements of the business needs. And from that point of view, I had to translate the business needs into what the data scientists could actually put together. And that's fundamentally what I did. Now, I'm in business for myself now. And essentially, that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. But where I'm coming from now is I'm putting myself between the small business and entrepreneur and the customers, and trying to be the bridge and to teach the entrepreneur to build assets that allow them to continue to build those bridges long after I'm gone. I'm teaching them the skill of having that bridge between the customers and the entrepreneurs to facilitate the business, and to facilitate the business in serving the customer. And the reason I'm doing this video, and if you're here by the Facebook invite, or you see this later on, I'll be posting this on Facebook as well as leaving it on my YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to do. That's essentially what I do. But I want to get into the heart of the matter. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share a little presentation that I did, and it's actually free. This full presentation, I'm only going to go through parts of it now, but the full presentation is actually available on the Design Hackers Guild on designhackersguild.io. And it's a free persona training. It teaches you how to build personas for your business. And if you're not sure why you should do that, I can go into that in detail. You'll see on my channel that I do go into detail on what the Design Hackers Guild is. I also focus on personas and why they are required, and why small businesses and entrepreneurs need to be focusing on them. And particularly now, during this pandemic, this is the time to do this, to get the lay of the land of what your customer is going through. It also teaches you to keep your eye on the customer from a strategic point of view, so that you're constantly updating what your company to meet the requirements of your ideal customers. So let me share my screen now. Hopefully you can see this. According to this, it is sharing to StreamYard, and I'm presuming you see this on YouTube itself. So, especially now, how do we zero in on who wants to buy from us? And the way we do that is by focusing on our buyer persona. And you may or may not, if you're an established business, you know who your buyer persona is, or rather, to be very blunt with you, you knew who your buyer persona was. All this has changed. Okay. Now, maybe their role, and some of their challenges remain the same, but a lot of their challenges and certainly their motivation, certainly their personal and definitely their goals and learnings have changed fundamentally during this pandemic. So, this is why it is important, and I'm not going to take you through the whole persona slide thing, but I want to emphasize this. And fundamentally, this is why I'm doing this video, because your buyers' lives have changed, and so has your life changed. And if you look at how you're buying, how you're acting, how there's things you can't do anymore at the moment, and there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's a lot of hysteria out there that has wrought changes for your customers in general. So you've got to look back and look at the attributes that your customers are currently sharing, and look at your buyers, what differentiates them, and what qualities differentiate them. Certainly, some of your buyers may be under a lot more stress than others are, particularly if depending on what your business is that you're doing and who you're serving. You may be lucky enough to not really see much of a difference. There will be a difference. There has to be. This is a global pandemic. It's changed everything. But there are certain businesses that won't have to look and see if in terms of, you'll be able to easily differentiate the qualities of your buyers, and you'll be able to look at the attributes that they share, and with little or no change to probably what was before. With that said, it is important that if you are someone who's in a business where things have changed fundamentally, you need to start gathering the attributes of what that is for your customer at the moment, and cluster those similar attributes into groups. Name each group as a buyer type or role, and make each role personal and believable. If you may be sitting on something that you've done like this before, you need to do this again. And if you're looking at something that you're doing this for the first time, there's never been a better time to do this, because it's teaching you to start to look at what your customers are going through themselves. It'll take you out of what you're looking at as well. It'll actually help you take your eyes off yourself and start looking at the people that you're serving. And this is critically important. What you're going to do is when you're building a persona, it's not just around one person. This persona is someone that you're going to invent, that is a fictional character that represents the group of buyers that you're looking at. And you may be able to attribute that to a real person in real life. And this should make you start thinking about what they do in real life. How comfortable are they with, say, technology, for instance, or your product, or in your sector? How experienced are they in your market segment? Have those experiences changed? What feature or implications are there for each attribute? And there might be different implications for that like before the pandemic and now after. And certainly their goals will have changed, so we need to talk about what their goals are now. Are they concerned about speed, efficiency, accuracy? Are they concerned about looking good? Are they concerned about the price? Do you need to make price changes, etc.? And fundamentally, did they choose? Why did they choose your product? How or your product segment? How frequently do they use your product, or are they going to use your product? Do they use the product by themselves? Do they use the product on a mobile device? What do they need to be convinced of? And generally speaking, we tell you to narrow down to two personas, and you should be able to pull off these personas and put them together. Now, let's be clear about this. I do have free training. If you go to designhackersguild.io, sign up on your email, you'll get the full training presentation on this. But what I want to call out here is that I happen to know that not many businesses or small businesses have these assets, have these personas, haven't created these fictitious people, in this case John Becker and Jane White, um, looking at their attributes, their individual goals and needs, and put it together as to what makes up your ideal buyer. And a lot of times that's in either in someone's head, or they've gone on and done something like this but have not shared it amongst their business. And in order to scale your business, or even to scale your activity, even if you're not trying to scale your business as in grow your business, you might want to be scaling in terms of increased efficiency. Um, you mightn't be scaling up your audience too much, but you might want to capture uh, a certain catchment of audience, and maybe want to increase that catchment in that area, which doesn't put too much pressure on your business, but at the same time, increases efficiency and increases revenue. Point I'm making here is that when you get down and make these personas, this is an asset to you. And what I see at the moment is that an awful lot of businesses are not looking at these things and creating these things as assets that they can leverage. And that's where I'm going to stop presenting on the slides from that point of view, and talk to you about creating assets for your business. Right now, I'm creating an asset for my business. It's this video. This is a live YouTube video. It's going to be about 20-25 minutes long, and it may or may not resonate with people. But the point is, it's an asset that I'm creating. Someone somewhere may find this useful, and I can leverage that. I can also leverage the content by capturing the transcript of this video, turn it into a blog post. That's another asset that I can create and leverage. I can also take the audio of this video and put it out there as a podcast. So now I have a video on YouTube. I have a transcripted blog post and an audio recording for a podcast. There are three assets that are leveraging content, and there's people better than me that can teach you how to do that. But the point I'm making is, you can see there, I'm able to provision assets. But not many people sit back and look at what they know about their customers and what they can find out about their customers can be turned into an asset that can generate revenue for you. And it is these fundamentals that are critical if you are going to be in business and trying to, or we're not trying to sell, and selling to loyal customers. You have to know who they are. You need to create those assets of personas, and you need to leverage those assets. So not only do you create the persona, but you load that persona into sharing. If you're a company that has maybe 20, 25 people, 50 people, 100 people, they all know who the persona is. And they also contribute their points of view of what that persona looks like. Sorry about that. I had to turn down that call. The point I'm making is that a lot of entrepreneurs know how to leverage a lot of assets, but they fundamentally forget, don't think, or are not realizing that those fundamentals of leveraging assets, and creating those assets and building off those assets doesn't apply to their customers. Their customers are probably the most important asset. So that's why I encourage you, if you are using a CRM, to use it more efficiently to help you build those assets. In the olden days where you used to build personas, it used to be where you could go and meet your customers, chat with them, get an idea of what their pains are, what their desires are, get down to the level of getting down to the demographics, male, female, married, single, divorced, um, whatever, kids, no kids, and you can then create those categories, and from that you can narrow down those categories and kind of find the common problems that they have. They're actual assets that you need to physically iterate. That's why I encourage people to do personas. They're important. Fundamentally, I would encourage you to sign up to the Design Hackers Guild and do the persona training and look at it as a potential asset that you can create for yourself that keeps iterating and keeps increasing in value for you. But you need to do that. And I would also encourage you that you need to build your business around that asset, not forcing it like a square peg into a round hole. Now, I've done an interview with Michael Ellis on the Michael Ellis channel. I'm hoping I can just paste it here. I'll paste it in the comments, but it'll also be in the description. And I'll show you that here. So that's what okay, there's a typo there, but that's the link, if you capture that, to the interview I did with Michael Ellis. And that goes into talking about building your, as you build your persona as the asset, you build your business around that so that it integrates with it. And that's the key importance of it. It's not just good enough to sit down and do a persona. It needs to be shared and utilized and built around. And that's what my business does. I teach you how to do that. I teach you how to build around that persona, and I teach you how to focus around those customers. So you start to create what appears to be irresistible offers to your customers that they're going to buy and keep coming back to you, and create that loyalty and that connection. And that's something that you can build off and scale your business. And I think it's fundamental that you start having those conversations with customers, getting them on Zoom, even if you're getting them on the phone, having a chat with them, figuring out, asking them what's the lay of the land for themselves, having that conversation. It's also good to build a rapport with your customers from an interpersonal perspective, not just creating physical assets of a persona, but it actually gets you involved in the business and not being stuck in the business itself, but being strategic by integrating with your customers, creating that relationship with your customers. And such actions of creating personas, doing the design research around those things, and creating those offers involves your customers. And this is what brings me back to one point I also made in that interview about localizing. So if you're someone who's in a local business, there's no reason why you shouldn't be sitting down and doing these very things, building your personas, and at the same time having those conversations with your customers. Maybe you're having those conversations with your customers at the moment, and then your next step just has to be to build out those personas that you can leverage and reference and use to start rebuilding your business or pivoting your business to meet their specific needs. So I hope you found this useful. I certainly have, in terms of what it's like to do a live video, what it's like to put some things together, what it's like to put a slide presentation and present it, just in terms of doing it live on Facebook. sorry, live on on YouTube. I'm used to doing Facebook Live, so that's why I referenced it there. I hope that you found this somewhat useful. If you're interested in finding out more, you can reach me at the designhackersguild.io, or you go to Facebook, just look up Mark Brown with an E, as it says in my name there. Alternatively, you can reach me. You can send me a direct message on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me there under Mark Brown. And I have a group called the Design Hackers Guild, both on Facebook and on LinkedIn, where I share content like this. And I've created not only the free video presentation on personas, but also a free presentation with myself and Paul Gray, from Paul Gray Online, about online marketing, and it's a masterclass which you can also sign up for. Just sign your email. It's free. There's no other commitments for it. And from there, if you want to subscribe to the channel, I'll be doing more videos like this. I'm going to try and do them weekly, and I'm going to build up eventually to creating content that is around that. I'm going to be inviting guests from the point of view who are doing the exact things that I'm training people to do, and them sharing how that was successful and how they used that strategy to make specific changes, and what it's done for them, and the lessons that they learned from that, both the good and the bad. Just doing this doesn't mean that your business is going to be perfect, but what it does do is it speeds up that creative process. You're not shooting in the dark, and you're not shooting from your own point of view. So that's why I emphasize on personas, but this is why I'm also calling out to entrepreneurs who do not, at the moment, focus specifically on, at the heart of their business. They haven't built a persona or shared it amongst the group, and there may be a little, there could be even disagreement as to what the ideal customer is within your own business. So for someone who may have a medium to large enterprise, maybe that's something you need to address. What is the state of play across, what is the perception across my business as to what our ideal customer is and what their biggest challenge is? Or is it just in your head as the business leader? Doing these things make things clear strategically. And it takes you out of being stuck in your business to working strategically on your business. That gives you the ability to scale, whether that's scaling your pivot and making that pivot improve and correct for you, or it's a case of being able to grow your business, especially for those businesses that aren't specifically challenged by COVID per se in their business, in their business niche, for instance. In that particular area, you're doing well, and you might be dominating. But again, there's no harm in absolutely assuring that you've got a picture of that, and it also gives you the ability to scale if you're not being challenged in, from the point of view of losing business, where a lot of other small businesses, you might be lucky enough to not be in that position. How do you scale, and how do you make yourself, I suppose, resilient, even more resilient in challenging times? Because we do know that the economy is going to be challenged an awful lot for a long, long time. So again, it's still worth doing, even if you're doing well now, to plan for the future, to build in resiliency, but also to have the ability to scale your business. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share for the moment. I want to keep it around the 30-minute mark. I hope you found this useful. If you do want to know more, just subscribe to the channel, click the bell. You'll get constant updates as to when I'm posting on YouTube. You will also, if you sign up at the Design Hackers Guild, I will be sending out regular emails. If you want to sign up for that, that's also available to you. You can unsubscribe as well if you get annoyed from hearing from me. But I hope you have, as business owners, found that useful. I hope you see the value of it, And I will be on again hopefully next week, maybe talking about ideation. Until then, have a great weekend and take it easy. Bye.